Hey everyone, Mike here, and in this video we're comparing the Sony Xperia SP with the Samsung Galaxy S3. The S3 is the 2012 Samsung flagship, now downgraded to a mid-range device, while the Xperia SP is Sony's new take at this mid-Android segment. Aesthetically, both devices are very nice and are available in a bunch of different colors. The S3 is covered in glossy plastic, and that comes with more cons than pros. The SP is a mix of aluminum used for the edges and some matte plastic used for the back, and it does feel more premium than its competitor. Neither of these two is a compact handset though, and as a result, using them single-handed is not going to be an easy task. The Xperia is slightly shorter and narrower than the S3, and that's why it does feel a bit better in hand, but it is also heavier and thicker. So it's really difficult to say which one of the two is going to be the most comfortable to use. You'll have to try them for yourself. Let's turn our attention to the practical aspects now. Both these devices feature a removable rear panel, with the micro SIM and micro SD slots hiding behind it. On the Samsung, the battery is replaceable, while on the SP is not. Pretty much the same set of ports and connectors is placed around the edges of these two phones, with micro USB slots plus headphone jacks, volume rockers and power buttons. On the SP, all the buttons are on the right side, where there's also a dedicated shutter key, missing from the Samsung. On the S3, the power button is on the right and the volume rocker on the left, while the USB port sits at the bottom. On the back, the two feature main shooters with flash and one speaker each, capable of pushing decent sound. The front faces house those big touchscreens, but more about them in a second. Below the display you'll find the physical home button on the S4, flanked by two capacitive back and menu keys. Sony integrated the controls within the screen itself, which means that they will adapt to each app, rotating and even completely vanishing when not needed, but they do eat a part of the canvas. A front-facing shooter and the standard set of sensors can be found on top of the screens in both cases, plus the earpiece. On the Samsung, there's also a circular notification LED here. Sony went for a different approach for their SP, as they kept the illumination bar from the Xperia S at the bottom of this phone, and this time they made it somewhat user customizable. As a result, this LED is far easier to notice and also interacts with the music and album apps on the phone. Back to those displays now though. There's the 4.8-inch screen on the Galaxy and the 4.6-inch one on the Xperia. Both offer the same 1280 by 720 pixel resolution, so the pixel density is close, thus texts and fine details will look pretty much the same on the two. However, Samsung and Sony use different panels for their displays. There's an AMOLED on the S3 and a regular TFT LCD on the SP. And while the screen on the Xperia is brighter than the one on the Galaxy, thus easier to use in strong light, it does offer poor viewing angles, contrast and displays washed out colors. The AMOLED on the S3 does have a bluish tint and clearly oversaturates colors, but at the end of the day it's still my first pick here. You can use the Sony with gloves on, as it does have a highly sensitive touchscreen, but it doesn't make up for the other issues. And then there are the main shooters, do or dies for a modern smartphone these days. Both phones offer 8 megapixel cameras on the back, and the Sony bundles a newer Exmor RS sensor. Unfortunately, it also tends to massively overprocess the taken pictures, especially on the Smart Auto mode loaded by default on the camera, and that leads to noise and mushy pics with poor details. So when it comes to taking pictures, I do believe the Galaxy S3 is the better pick here. Things balance out when it comes to taking videos though, where the two are a lot closer. The Xperia offers HDR videos, something missing on the S3. It also has a dedicated shutter key that will come in handy, but besides that, the two offer similar features, with manual settings and a bunch of pre-installed shooting modes and filters you can add on top of your images. Those aside, let me tell you a couple of things about the hardware and the software on these two devices. Neither of them bundles the latest hardware, but both are going to be powerful enough for mostly everything you might throw at them. The SP tends to outscore the Galaxy in benchmarks, mainly because of its slightly faster graphics. You'll also feel its power when it comes to running games and video content, where the SP managed to handle smoothly 1080p MKVs and titles like Real Racing 3, with less stuttering than the Galaxy. But there's still occasional sluggishness in both cases and some games that fail to play flawlessly, like GTA Vice City. Still, don't forget that these are mid-range devices right now. Of course, both were more than capable of handling all sorts of daily tasks, like browsing, taking and making calls, texting with your friends, and so on. I did like how customizable the keyboard on the Xperia is, but I did enjoy the swipe input method on the Galaxy as well. Besides that, the two are running Android 4.1.2 Jelly Bean with some tweaks on top of vanilla Android. The Xperia SP comes with a nice lock screen that allows you to control the Walkman and camera apps, a bunch of themes and widgets, a remastered app drawer, and small apps, applications running in an overlay window on top of your usual things. Sony also bundled some of their apps and content stores, and you'll find them useful mainly if you're already caught in their ecosystem. The S3 comes with TouchWiz, which does offer its own UI tweaks, notification bar and app drawer, plus a handy task manager. You also get S-apps and a set of gestures. In the end though, I do find Sony's Android iteration cleaner and faster than Samsung's, but each has its pros and cons. In fact, that's how you can put this entire comparison in few words. Both the Sony Xperia SP and the Samsung Galaxy S3 have their pros and cons, and it's up to you to choose between them based on what you value more on a smartphone. The Xperia SP has the build quality and looks on its side, the snappy hardware and everyday experience, the Sony ecosystem, the 4G support and the price, as it is cheaper than the Samsung right now. The Galaxy S3 comes with a superior screen and camera, plus the removable battery. Still, you might not care much about that final aspect, as both feature pretty much similar sized batteries and can last for around 2 days of average use on a charge. So there you have it. Which one's the winner in your book? Which one would you pick between the two and why? Leave your replies below, and if you have any questions or things you want to add to this clip, post them below as well. Alright, that's about it for now. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to hit that thumbs up button if you like this comparison. In the meantime though, stay close and subscribe to the channel. I'll have plenty of new clips coming in the next weeks and you wouldn't want to miss them. Catch you later.